Okay, I'm not going to be too long on this one because my phone's at a low battery percentage and I don't look very flattering today. I need to get a haircut and a shave. But no, obviously that's not really the reasons. It's about the Jayslater thing. So I've been a bit reluctant to make another video on it, and I say another one because I had an old channel that got deleted off YouTube. It is what it is. I had videos on there about my opinions on the Jayslater case. They're gone now, but the reason I'm mentioning that is because in the time in which my channel got deleted, Jay's body was found, or so we're told was Jay's body. So the case was, well, the case is closed, officially. So I thought, okay, well, there's nothing else to comment on, you know, there's going to be opinions and conspiracy theories, probably always, because, I mean, JFK got assassinated many years ago, and of course that case is closed. But there's still conspiracy theories on that. September 11th, which by the way is my birthday, there's still conspiracy theories on that also. So you'll never get a resolution. Very rarely will you get a resolution. But since that's happened, I've seen a lot of different conspiracy theories still coming out. And I just wanted to speak about a few of them because I find it a very interesting talking point. So, before I go into the theories, I want to say Ayub and Rocky. Ayub Qasim, and I forget the guy, Rocky's surname, but those two were the last two that seen Jay alive, apparently, right? That's what the authorities are saying, the Spanish authorities. They went live the other day. I forget exactly when. They went live on TikTok. Anyone that knows how that works knows you're opening the floor to questions. People can comment, type, and they got a lot of questions. They got a lot of hate. A lot of people still believe clearly that they did murder Jay. I mean, I'm in two minds, but I'll say this though. Two guilty people, for me, would be hiding away from the limelight. They've not done that. They've went live, and listen, this is all open to interpretation. Maybe I'm reading it wrong, but they looked okay to me. They didn't look uncomfortable. They seemed perfectly comfortable. Ayub even said at one point, he said, you know, this boy's not even had his funeral yet, talking about Jay. Have some respect. And it was in regards to one of the comments. I don't know, it's an easy thing to say, obviously, but I'm just giving my opinion. He seemed very genuine to me. And it's hard to ignore the facts though. And what I mean by facts is the Spanish authorities covering up so much, and I know that's just empty words without giving examples, but they're not coming to mind now. But anybody that knows the case, this video is mostly aimed at those people, not people that don't know much or anything about the case. So I'm making this with the assumption that most people are watching it knowing a good bit about the case anyway. But yeah, that was just the first thing I wanted to say. It counts for nothing. It's just an opinion on how two people conducted themselves, but they didn't look like two guilty people to me. Now, there's a YouTuber called Wax Unfiltered. Nice guy. Mentions a lot of very interesting theories and gives a lot of strong evidence. But I want to talk about one of the things he said in one of his videos on the live of Ayub and Rocky. And he mentions their body language, or he mentions Ayub's body language. and how he's looking to his left regularly, which is apparently a sign of lying. It's your left brain is apparently associated with the, I forget the exact phrase, but the fiction side or the thinking side, and the right is more decision making, something like that. I forget the theory behind it, but what I'm getting at is if you're looking to your left, it's normally a sign of lies. And he was looking to his left, to be fair, so he's right on that. But I mean, that could be anything. He could be looking up to the left to his TV. He could be looking up out his window. So I wouldn't read too much into that. But listen, this is what this is all about. It's all about opinions and you know, arguments, and I don't mean volatile arguments. I mean constructive arguments, debates. You know, that's more what I mean. Pardon me. And he also mentions how Ayub says in the live that they were out at night looking for Jay, even though Jay's disappearance was meant to have happened in the early morning. Now that, for me, that could quite simply be that Ayub meant the next again night from when Jay went missing. Although maybe not. I mean, this is the thing. It is all down to opinion and interpretation. And I mean, I'm watching, I'm listening, and I'm hearing the same things that everyone else is. The TikToks, not so much the TikToks actually, because I've got a TikTok, but I'm not on it much. But the important videos and clips make their way over to YouTube anyway, so I'm seeing pretty much everything that everyone else is seeing. And maybe I missed something that I have said, and that maybe he did say the night he went missing. I don't know, but I'm just saying, from what I remember, and from what I remember he said he could mean any night that they went out looking for him. Also, a few people have questioned why Ayub and Rocky have chose just recently to go live instead of before when the case was still open. That could be, and by the way, before I go any further, I understand it might be coming off that I'm defending Ayub and Rocky and saying they're innocent. I don't know. I don't know these two guys. I'm just giving my opinion. That's all I'll ever do. And if my opinion makes me look like an idiot to some people, I don't really care, to be honest. If I believe something, I will say it, regardless of how it sounds. I've had that all my life, you know. I've been laughed at for certain things. Used to get to me, but that's a different that's a different subject. What I'm getting at is, I don't live in the prison of other people's thoughts and opinions. If I believe something, I will say it regardless. And I'm just saying the body language seemed okay to me, really. And that, getting back to what I was saying, the going live when they did, that could just be police advice. That could just be the police saying, look, this case is still open. It would be in your interest to stay quiet and not comment on the situation. Certainly not advising, certainly not to do a live session when you're on the spot and people are going to be firing questions at you and criticism. But that's just my opinion. Again, I don't know. And you know, listening to police advice doesn't always mean you're guilty. I've been in situations personally where I've been in police stations and they're asking me questions and I'm saying no comment. And by the way, I've been innocent of what they're accusing me of. But you know, they'll use the, oh well, if you're saying no comment, then you must be guilty. Don't fall for that ever. But again, that's a separate thing. I'm just saying, an innocent person can also choose to stay quiet. So it could just be a matter of that. Sorry, I had to cut that off there.
Anyway, getting back to what we're speaking about. Yeah, it's a bit jumbled up where I'm going with this. You know, different points in different places. But the other thing I'm hearing is Jay had 2 knives on him. I mean, where has this came from? It's just confusing. You know, the full situation is just confusing. This just adds to it. But it's no wonder it can't be put to bed, because a lot of things don't add up. And a lot of things are, you know, being added. And I'm not talking about the colour of shoes Jay was wearing, or the colour of top I was wearing. This is important stuff, you know. You're talking about 2 knives being on him. And that's came from a few sources. I even lose track of where I hear this stuff, but when you hear it more than 2-3 times, you know, okay, there's just got to be something in that, you know. Or I say that actually, maybe not, maybe it's just bullshit, but it still makes you think. So that's another thing I've heard. And why would he have 2 knives on him? I think we all know the answer to that, for his own protection, clearly. Unless he's making a big dinner. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not a funny situation, but I'm just laughing at how obvious it is that if that's the case, it's obviously been for his own protection. Another thing I'm also hearing is Lucy was apparently the one that lost this bag of drugs, if there was a bag of drugs. But let's say there was. That would also make sense as to why, well, number one, why Lucy's name has even been mentioned, but I mean, I'm sure she's even got a conscience. If that beach video's right, and the beach video, what I'm talking about there is where Jay apparently got stabbed, and Lucy was crying, saying she's sorry. You know, listen, let me make this clear, this is all if, buts and maybes, but it's nonetheless, it's an interesting talking point. So that I've heard that also. I've heard that the bag of drugs that went missing, it was Lucy that lost that, but she blamed Jay, and she made Jay the fall guy. So it's another interesting theory. Another thing I've heard is Jay's phone. Well, this has been confirmed by authorities that it has been found. We know that, but I'm hearing that it's been wiped of everything. That's suspicious. Now, a lot of these things are not evidence enough of foul play, like on their own, because if they were, somebody would be arrested for it, or even at that, would they? You know, because of the Spanish authorities, they could be paid off. A lot of people are actually suggesting that. But I have to say, I even find that strange, and I'm generally one that just looks at facts and thinks that goes by what I do know. But if that's the case, that's very unusual. I mean, there's no reason you would do that. There's no reason why you would wipe the history, unless you were trying to hide something. So I find that very unusual. Another thing as well is the night of the Euro 2024 final between Spain and England, ironically. Apparently that night there's been reports of a lot of commotion in the area in which Jay was found. Now that, coupled with, like, again, there's so many things I could comment on and so many things I could go into, but there's that many. I don't know where to start and finish. But one of them was this. You've got to ask yourself how the Spanish police, the authorities, called off the search and then found his body when the search was supposed to have been called off. Apparently that was brung on by the Dutch authorities getting involved. Then suddenly when they hear that, they find Jay. I mean, that does seem weird to me. Like, at the very least, you've got to ask yourself, why call it off if it's not really off? Let alone the fact that they found Jay when just when the Dutch authorities were coming over. Very unusual, that. It's very bizarre. Not just that, see if that was like the only constants, the only thing, you know, I could accept that, but I can only speak for me. And to me, that's just, I just find that odd, coupled with so many other things, you know, the authorities, the Spanish authorities, I mean, not letting Jay's mum see the body. Now, I know people are going to say, oh, that's normal, you know, the authorities can advise that you don't see the body because it's so bad and it might affect, you know, his loved ones seeing him that way. I totally get that, I understand that, but that's different to just not allowing it. Advising and straight up not allowing it are two totally different things. Very unusual, that, to me. I mean, it almost sounds illegal, if I'm honest. Surely that's their choice, the family's choice, if they want to make that call and see him. Also, where where Jay's body was found, apparently his clothes were found there as well, and they were very much like, they just looked like they'd been dumped there. Like, there was no markings on them. There was, like, they just looked like this is how it looked, apparently, right? As if Jay had been flung down there and his clothes had just been flung down there as well. Like, how that looks, I don't know. Like, I'm not really making sense, I understand that, but what I'm getting at is that's what some people are saying, is it just looked too staged. Too staged. You've got to just ask questions, you know, it makes you think. And also this Brandon character that was apparently with Jay when they went back to the Airbnb. So Jay, Brandon, Ayub and Rocky. Now, different sources say different people were there and different amount of people. Like, you don't know who to listen to, is the point I'm making. But yeah, another thing I've heard and I've read is that this Brandon that was there, he's not speaking to anyone now because he's battered and bruised because of Ayub. Again, listen, I'm not saying this is a fact, but this is the important thing. I'm not saying it's fiction either. I'm saying it's out there. Pardon me, it's out there and people are talking about it, and it would make sense, because why else would you not come out and why is he not speaking to anybody? Where is he? You know, because even if he wasn't there, he's still involved in this, whether he likes it or not, he's still involved in it. So I just don't get why he wouldn't come out and say his piece. So that would make sense. Also, in this live between Ayub and Rocky, apparently there's a bit, well, not apparently, there is a bit where this happens, but I don't know if I'd call it a slip up, but Ayub at one point says, in regards to the charger, he says something about Jay's mate. He implies that Jay's mate was there, meaning Brandon, but then he takes it back. He says, no, sorry, my mate, I meant my mate. And a lot of people are saying, oh, he slipped up there, that's you know, a sign of that he's lying, and it could be. It could be. I don't know, but it could just be a genuine slip-up. I mean, that's what you need to remember. At the end of the day, these are all subjective and down to opinions, and that's how you want to take these things. At the end of the day, one thing it can't be argued is it's not enough for a conviction. That's for sure, because if it was, coupled with all the other things, he would be, he would be apprehended. But then, even then, it's confusing. Like, I even get myself confused, to be honest with you. But if the Spanish authorities are corrupt, then maybe he did do it. Ayub and Rocky, and it's just been covered up, because that is another theory. So it's just very interesting. You can go so many different avenues with this, and the whole thing is just very interesting. I thought it was dead and buried. Excuse the pun. That's not meant. I've not meant anything by that. That just came out there. Anyway, I would be interested in people's thoughts, because it's certainly an interesting situation, and it's by no means resolved. It's resolved officially and legally, but for how long? For how long? So I'd like other people's thoughts on this, please. Let's dance.